Hi, my beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to talk about my 12 years away from New Orleans and what it's been like coming back to New Orleans. So if you're interested in possibly moving back to your hometown, stay tuned. Get comfy, grab you a little drink, okay? Do what you need to do so you can be entertained by the girl, okay? So I want to start this by saying I originally did not want to leave my hometown. I know. It was not in the cards for me to leave New Orleans. It just so happened that an opportunity came that was aligned. Like, literally, I feel like that was divine intervention from God, that the opportunities that I got to leave New Orleans. So let's start a little backwards to go forward. So I don't know if y'all are from TikTok. Hey, I told my Katrina story, and Katrina pretty much is the anchor for this season of my life. So basically, when I got back to New Orleans, I started off going to Del Ghetto, and then we transferred over to LSU. I transferred to BRCC, and then I transferred over to LSU, and then from LSU, once I graduated, my friend Amanda actually was interviewing with a bunch of companies. We had like career days and stuff. I think I was doing finals or something. I'm not sure. I know I did career day too, but however, my friend Amanda got an opportunity from a company. And then she recommended me, shout out to her, and then I recommended another friend, and so that company gave me $5,000 to move to a place where I didn't know I was going to go. So how the program worked is that you leave for Dallas for 3 weeks. You be in Dallas for 3 weeks, and then you have a top 5 list that you can pick based on where the companies were, where the warehouses were. I was working for a building products company, by the way. And then from there, you're supposed to be there for 3 months. And then from there, you get your permanent spot. At first, I was very nervous. I did not want to leave. I was scared. I was like, I'm going to be by myself. Even though I had one friend that was going to be joining the program with me, I just still was very much so nervous about leaving home until one of my friends, Danisa in particular, we were at the hair salon and under the dryers, and she was like, you need to take this opportunity. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. It's going to change your life. You need to get away from here. All of the things. Shout out to Danisa. Danisa literally brought me, like, it's so crazy because this is about being gone 12 years. So Danisa was a person who literally gave me the courage to leave. And then when I was leaving LA, it just so happened that she was in town, and then she gave me the notion of, people come back to the bayou to reset, so maybe you just need to reset. But I'm getting too ahead of myself. So from there, honestly, I never thought I was going to be leaving my hometown in the beginning. So at that time, I was 24 years old, honey, and I just was a lost little butterfly, roaming the streets of Dallas. I packed all my stuff, and then I got my college guy friends to help me move out. I have a little video snippet of that I'll add here, and I put my stuff in the storage, and then from there, I left and went to Miss Dallas, honey. I was staying in a hotel, and the hotel basically was an extended stay, and I was off to my new city with no friends really or anything. My stuff was in storage, and I needed to also find a place and all of that, but like I said, I was supposed to be in Dallas for 3 weeks, go somewhere else for 3 months, and then be permanently placed. Well, they wound up having an actual permanent job in Dallas, and I was so afraid of the unknown. And honestly, if I'm being real, I didn't want to go work in nobody's warehouse. I really didn't. I didn't want to have to do the job that they were saying that I had to do. I just was doing it for the opportunity, if I'm being honest. I had a degree and I needed a job. Okay, it was right after I graduated 2011. The recession of the housing crisis and all that happened in 2008. So we were still shaking back from that. So I decided I'm gonna take the job in Dallas. My friend who I recommended decided the same thing. I remember being so culture shocked. I I went to Walmart. Okay, I went to Walmart and I went looking for liquor. Okay, I wanted the liquor. I think I was looking for wine. Okay, and I'm walking around. And eventually I'm like, okay, let me ask somebody. And so I say, hey, excuse me, ma'am. Where's your wine at? Where's your liquor at? The lady say, babes, you're in Dallas. It's a dry county, love. Ain't no liquor. When I tell you the look and surprise on my face, I was gagged. Okay, I was like, what you mean Walmart don't sell liquor? Then I had the nerve to go to a gas station thinking that was gonna solve the problem. No, love. Those people said you gotta go to Specs. Okay, you gotta go to Specs to get the liquor. So me coming from New Orleans where you could walk around with liquor, and I didn't understand the beauty of that until I left, and I didn't understand why people love to come to New Orleans and drink. It's because you can walk and drink, go on one bar, leave that bar, go to the next bar. You could get a to-go cup. Girl, I remember being at a restaurant thinking I was going to get to-go liquor. No. So in my beginning of Dallas years, honey, my little 24 years old self, eventually I found me a place. I was living in Plano. My stuff came, they moved my stuff back, and I hit the ground running in freaking Dallas. Okay, literally left New Orleans as Mooka. Okay, shout out to the people who actually know who Mooka is. Okay, because if you know Mooka, you probably know me, and you know me well. So I left New Orleans, honey, as Mooka, and then I decided to take on a whole new persona. Once I realized that this can be an opportunity for me to basically escape. That was my thoughts at first, escaping my trauma, escaping what was going on in my life, escaping anything that I had been through prior. I thought that, okay, Dallas is about to give me a completely new fresh start, fresh look, and a new name. Okay, Dallas is what birthed Nelly. Okay, hence the purely Nelly, and I've been Nelly ever since. Even coming home to being Nelly is interesting to me too. It's so crazy. Also, while in Dallas, honey, I learned how to be on time. I learned how to be professionally on time, because if you're not on time in Dallas, your reservation, your dentist appointment, your doctor's appointment, it will be canceled, babe. Ain't no showing up 10-15 minutes late in Dallas. So I had to learn how to be myself on time. In New Orleans, you're more laissez-faire. Time doesn't matter. You can show up an hour late to your reservation, and 9 times out of 10 pretty much still get a table. But no, Miss Dallas, no, she was not playing any games. You had to be there and you had to be on time. So I definitely had to learn the hard way and be humbled onto learning how to be on time in Miss Dallas. Okay, I started to build a Louisiana clique and a Louisiana family, and we just all became close knit. We met up on the weekends, started building a family there. They became my family. No Shante, my extended family. Honestly, so grateful for that extended family that I built, and I'm glad that I still have most of those people in my life today. It really helped that transition to Dallas. Really worth it, and really showing me how to grow up, basically. So when Dallas became very stale, very the same, very feeling like, oh my God, I want to move, plus I got laid off, I basically was like, I'm going to LA. My aunt, once I got laid off, I wasn't working for like a year. My aunt was like, hey, she came in town from LA for Thanksgiving, I think, and then she was like, hey, what if you move to LA? You should try to come to LA and stay with me. And at first I was like, I don't know about that. But I also was upset with corporate. So I thought going to LA would be a good idea to just get into my creative bag, get into the entertainment industry or something. I don't know, child. I just was like, I've always wanted to go back. From my Katrina story, long story short, if you don't know, I got rescued, and long story short, we wound up in LA amongst getting rescued. If y'all want to hear that whole story, like I said, you can go to my TikTok. I'll probably leave it linked below. So I always said I was going to go back because I loved it. And then I also lived in California and San Diego because my dad was on military orders in 3rd and 4th grade. So I always said I was going back to Cali. Okay, we're going back to Cali. To Cali. To Cali. So from there, once I got laid off, I was like, this is a perfect opportunity. I also had a spiritual advisor at the time, and she told me she seen me in LA, and specifically she said she seen me working in the music industry. So I just went with that, my intuition, my gut, and I was like, I could do this. I could do this. So maybe I moved with nothing but a credit card. I was already in credit card debt. Okay. Yeah. I was living life like gold, like it was golden, off my unemployment, food stamps, and credit card. Okay. That credit card afforded me to get a U-Box, okay, a U-Haul. Well, the U-Box ships automatically, so it shipped my stuff to LA. Girl, then I got a storage. Then that storage went up in trash. But thank God I had 1 month free with U-Haul. Guys should have seen some of this in my study of self, so I won't be a redundant lady. Okay. And then from there, child, we moved to LA. We moved to LA. LA, I feel like really strengthened my soul, my heart, my spiritual self. It humbled me in ways that Dallas, like in Dallas, I started glowing up. I started getting, my Benz and my downtown apartment, and shopping and getting into the fashion. But I also felt like I wasn't humble. I was in I'm making money, shine on you hoes, yeah, I wasn't in the best humbling space at that time because I kept elevating at an exponential rate for the month. Well, yeah, for me, 5-6 years in elevating in LA. In Dallas. Really, I wasn't as humble until I lost that job. So when I got to LA and I had $0, 0 cents, and they cut my credit cards off. Yeah. I really want to be honest about what those months actually look like, because I was alone in LA. Okay, I was alone in LA. I had no friends. I had just started building up my money again. Even though I was living with my aunt, it was a lot living with my aunt. I'm grateful for her, okay, but it's just still a lot to live with other people, and then to be living on the living room floor and out of one suitcase for the most part, and then girl, life was just life. Life was just life, and I was trying to build myself back up so that I can, eventually get my own place and all of that again. But once the world shut down, I honestly was feeling more so the same because I didn't have money the year before. So I just started doing the same thing and being in the backyard, like I was the year before. And thank God I had that time to have that, because if I didn't, I don't know how I would have took COVID. I think I would have had a hard time with COVID. So for a year and a half, honey, I struggled and grind off that living room floor, saved my money, paid some cards off so that my credit could get better, so that I can actually be approved for an apartment. You hear me? Oh yeah, like I was just alone, and it wasn't pretty. It wasn't a movie montage. It wasn't an opening for a freaking YouTube vlog. It just was very humbling, very isolating. And yeah. But good news. Eventually, I moved into my own place, and the walls were mine. Everything I touched was mine, and it so much so mine that I was the first person to live in my actual apartment. Okay, it was a new build in downtown LA with the most beautiful view. Hopefully, I'm showing that to you guys, and you can see it. Even though it was my own space, it was so much so my own that I was still feeling that lonely feeling. Overall, I feel like LA gave me the industry, the music, the reinventing of myself that I thought I wanted at the time. It also handed me the loneliest years of my life. Like I keep saying, I feel like I said lonely like 6 times. Even though I was at peace, I was happy, I was grounded, I just felt so freaking lonely. I didn't get exactly what I was thinking I was coming here for. I had pretty much made my dream of moving to LA and getting a job at a beautiful apartment with a city view and 3 pools and 3 saunas and 3 jacuzzis, okay, and a fire-ass gym, by the way. But I just, in the inside of me, still felt empty. The issue at hand was that I felt lonely, and I was not happy with feeling that level of lonely. And it seems like building community in LA was just hard, even though I had neighbors. I had Lily, I had a couple other people, but I don't know. I just, that's the best way I could put it. So my lease was up the literal same date that I left 12 years prior. June 12th, 2012. This lease was up June 12th, 2024. I don't think that was a shocking coincidence. I think it was just fate and a divine timing and alignment. And let me also add, it was the year of the dragon when I came back home. And guess what? It was the year of the dragon when I left. And guess what? I am a dragon zodiac. We're talking about Chinese horoscope here, okay? So it just so happened my mom was supposed to get surgery and my dad was on military orders, so I was planning to come home and help her for a couple months. But at this point, I wasn't happy. As of January that year, I felt it within my soul, snot, cry, tear. I just felt it. So everything just started kind of lining up. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put my stuff in storage. And I'm going to come back to LA in 6 months. Girl, it's been 2 years now. So, girl, I left Miss LA in tears because I actually love the city. I'm not one of those people to say LA people are fake. I didn't like LA. No, girl, she expensive, yes, but I still love LA. Honestly, I love LA so much that I want to work towards becoming bi-coastal. That is a goal of mine. Because I still work there. Okay? Let's talk about that. I still got my job. Praise God. And we work from home, so it just makes sense. You know, it just made sense. So now, finally, we're getting into the meat and potatoes of this video of coming home. Y'all want to know what it's like moving back to your freaking hometown, girl. Not going yay. At first, it felt like a vacation. It felt like an amazing vacation. I was in New Orleans trying everything, doing everything. I came home, literally went to a staycation. Me and my friend Ashton, we stayed at the Virgin Hotel. Then we went got massages at the Four Seasons. Like, this is the life I started living when I came home. I started going to the Ritz, trying different restaurants, especially restaurants that I never was able to try when I was younger because we had no money on, okay? Or it was a black and white thing, you know? A lot of us black folks ain't go to the French Quarter that much or certain parts of New Orleans. And if I'm being honest, I would get food from the hood spots because the hood spot foods honestly be better than the restaurants. Now they got some restaurants that still tea, but it ain't nothing like a little gas station plate in New Orleans. No shade. So the familiar streets I was walking on, the people who I grew up with, I kept seeing. I just felt like I pressed a hard pause on a decade and picked right back up where I left off, basically. However, it still wasn't easy. Coming home still wasn't easy, girl. Once that honeymoon phase of that first year wore off, now we settling in. You know, y'all know how I get. What they say when you're dating, the representative takes off that mask, and now we're moving into a different person. Yeah, that's very much how New Orleans hit me. You hear me? Maybe some friendships that I expected to just pick back up, they did not. Some relationships with family that I thought would just pick back up or be more better. No. What I learned is phone relationships were better. Getting around some people, y'all learn we just don't like each other. Being talking on the phone had a buffer, I guess. So yeah, I started losing friends, not losing family, because you don't lose family, they still your family, but that's not being around family as much anymore. If I'm being real, that shit hurt. That, like, it hurt, like, realizing that in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm going back to community, I'm going back, to people I know and love, and my home thoughts. But also, did I mention I also was scared as shit to come back home because of my traumas? I thought my traumas was going to take over my life and make my life diminish. Basically, failure, right? Like, my whole mind was like, girl, this is a failure. Even though I didn't fail at nothing, right? I still felt like coming home was kind of a failure. So had losing people and all of that, when that stuff start happening, it was like, oh yeah, this is the failure that I was talking about. And if I'm being very honest too, there were pockets where I still was feeling that level of loneliness that I felt in LA. It was like, oh girl, you just in a new city. So honestly, the biggest thing I've learned is that the city or your environment carries with you no matter where you go. From city to city that I went to, those same vibes carried with me no matter where I went. So even though that I felt lonely in LA, that same level of loneliness hit me here in rooms full of people and living with people. So that was kind of interesting to me too. How people say you can. Some people go on vacation to escape their life, but like when you get back from vacation, your life is still your life. So basically, the vacation was basically a distraction, a buffer to you putting a band-aid on what's already going on. That's basically what it was. Okay, so once I started getting into the meat and potatoes and actually getting down to the minutia of what the heck was going on and realizing stuff and asking myself questions like, well, how do I want to show up? How do I want to present? No matter where I'm at, no matter what city I'm in, it's our country, honey. Period. Like, how do I want to be? What type of person am I becoming? What are my morals? What are my values? Like, I literally start having to question everything in my life all over again. And let me add, honey, living with your parents ain't for the weak. Girl, ain't for the weak. Go, girl. Honey, living with your parents again, girl. You moved out for a reason. You remember that first feeling you had when you wanted to move out? Yeah, that didn't change much. Even though we're in a much better space of learning how to live with each other now. Girl. And, technically I don't have to, but I love saving my money. Yeah, I do. Yeah. I love not having rent. Okay? Let's talk about it. I love that I got out of debt. Let's talk about it. Hello, wake it up. So just to reiterate, somewhere along the way I started treating distance like healing. Okay? I kept moving, kept building new versions of myself with new zip codes. I didn't have to sit still with the things I was actually running from. I expected coming home to feel like failure, or like admitting 12 years. It was like admitting those 12 years didn't count and it hadn't worked. Okay. So I'm here. I had a feeling to be here. And then the reason that I felt I came home, well, one of the reasons, my dad wound up getting a brain tumor and cancer. Well, he had already had it. He just didn't tell us. Okay. So that wound up being very traumatic. I had to rush him to the hospital and all of the things. You guys will see me talk about this more in another video, but I I realized that my parents are getting older, and I was very grateful that I was here to drive my dad to the hospital and to make him go. Um, who knows what would have happened if I wasn't there. We'll talk about that situation in another video. I won't go into much details, but he's doing fine now, so um, it's all good. Got one more chemo treatment to go. And if you know anything about chemo, the treatment cycles are like 42 days. I think it depends on the person too, but you do 42 days, then you get your infusion and all of that. So we have another round of 42 days, phase 6, and then he will be done with chemo. So yes, just, give you all the good news. Once I start asking myself different questions than I asked in Dallas, than I asked in LA, I literally came up with a thought and a notion. I was trying to escape so bad that no matter what city I was in, it never felt grounded enough or quite right. Like, even though I was in Dallas, I was fiending for next city. When I'm in LA, it wasn't like so much so next city. It was like, what's next? Like, I just didn't feel quite like, it just felt like this. It felt like this. And baby, when I tell you, coming home, I don't have that feeling anymore. And I'm shocked. I'm actually shocked because I felt like this escapism for the longest in my life. And now coming home made me realize I needed this level of grounding, and I needed to address the traumas. I needed to be in the midst of it to answer questions, the what if questions. I was missing like my little cousins, events, graduations, family functions, and all of that. But now I'm home around some of my little cousins, and when I tell y'all, it feels amazing to like not miss certain things and to be in the midst and not have that what if I would have came home question, basically. What if I wouldn't have never left question. I'm glad I did, because I grew so much and learned so much. But I think I was still having that what if, and I also was having survivor's remorse. Isn't that what they say? Where I just felt guilty for the success that I was having, if I'm being honest. I still feel a little bit like that too, because not everybody is, around me is blessed to have left the city or whatever. A lot of people around me have never left the city. So I want to be in immense gratitude and all of that. But I am so grateful that I feel more grounded, and I feel like I have just a layer that I do want to address as far as traumas goes. But I'm just so happy to be in a space where I did something that I was extremely afraid of, honey. And that's moving home. I just didn't see it for myself at all. What I realized too, life went on. Life went on. When I left, I feel like some of my little cousins were like 10, and now they're like 19, 21, and graduating high school and stuff like that. And now they're asking me questions about how to sign up for college and stuff, which I'm so happy to be able to do that for them, and be a role model for them in their life, and be a big sis because because you feel me. So I think when I see them, I realize how much life had passed by, and that I was gone, girl. 12 years is a very, very, very long time, sweetie. For a long time, I thought growth meant getting further away from home. When I realized every city I moved to, I told myself I was expanding, becoming someone bigger, becoming someone new. And in a lot of ways, I was. But I've been thinking about trees lately, and I think mostly because I love going to sit under this tree in City Park that I won't name because I don't need y'all to blow up my spot. And as I was thinking about that, and when you think about New Orleans, you think about those oak trees with the gray, hanging down or whatever. And I start thinking about my life as that tree, or my moves to different cities as that tree. And I will insert a picture to show y'all what that actually looks like. But New Orleans is my roots, okay? It's my identity, my family, my culture, the place where everything grows out of. Whether you're standing on it 1,200 miles away, pretending you're not thinking about it. Dallas was my trunk of the tree. It was my independence, my resilience, the structure that I didn't have, that it didn't exist before New Orleans. It was holding the weight of everything. And apparently punctuality, darling. And then I think of LA as my branches and my trees, darling. I think of it as where I expanded, where my dreams came true, where I realized my grit, my grind, that I really could do this. I could really manifest whatever I want to, period. Okay. It was where I reinvented myself. It is where I became the most bougie bee alive. Okay, period. No, Dallas got that bougie level too, but LA stepped it up. Holla if you hear me. But the thing about the tree is the leaves don't make the roots. Less important, the branches don't replace the trunk. Every part only exists because something underneath it is holding it up. And yes, I'm reading from what I wrote. Hello, Shalora. I don't think I outgrew New Orleans. I think I grew because of New Orleans. Okay, the hustler, the street smart, street savvy girl, turned herself into a beautiful, blossoming, professional flower, darling. From hood to corporate. Hello, somebody. For a long time, I thought growth meant getting farther away from New Orleans, farther away from where I started. I'm home now. Not because I ran out of places to go, but because I finally understand what I was standing on the whole time that I was away. Also, I can buy a daiquiri from a drive-thru again. I can go get me a shrimp plate for $8 with the rice or the fries, okay? And hence the 15-20 pounds I gained, but we ain't here to talk about that, honey. So honestly, if I'm being for real, things have been aligned and so much better since I've been back, and I am in a happy place. And it wasn't easy. It was an interesting journey. Shit blew the fuck up in my face, if I'm being honest, when after that first year. And yeah, things got real, and I was not feeling life at all. But I'm so grateful it happened. And it just so happens that it was a year of the snake at that time. And baby, the skin shed it like no other. But if you are considering coming to your hometown and you feel like, oh, the people who are going to be here going to blow up your spot, you were successful, or your traumas, or you feel less than, or whatever, that is definitely not the case. If you feel like you want to move back to your hometown because you need to come home to save some money, or you just need to reset, you need to come to your bayou to reset, bring your little tail home. Don't be so afraid to come home. Don't be afraid to stay with your parents again. You will find a flow that works for you. Don't judge yourself, because I have been judging myself because I'm like, oh, I should have had a house or something by now. Hey, life happens. But overall, I am very, very, very grateful for being home. I'm glad that I pushed myself to do it. It was the thing that I was the most afraid of, and it wound up being the most beautiful thing for me. So if you are considering moving back to your hometown, I hope this video helped you. I hope I didn't ramble too much, and I hope you guys enjoyed every bit of this, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.